Support American-made tariff-free clothing with American Giant. They aren't affected by tariffs because their clothing products never left the U.S. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So apparently something that a lot of young girls are using are these beauty rating apps where you upload a picture and the app decides how pretty you are and gives you a rating. Can you imagine being a young girl and being told, you're not pretty? You know how devastating that could be? Some of the apps will say you're 75% or 42% or 68% pretty. Really? And then what picture are you uploading? Are you uploading a typical picture of yourself? Or are you uploading something that's filtered and with the right lighting? Now, if you have a child that is going to an app and using AI-generated data to decide, if they're good looking or not, I can't even begin to enumerate the dangers with that and what that could do to their mental health. Not to mention, many of these apps will offer suggestions. Well, what happens if we narrow your forehead? Or we make your eyes widen? Or we change your nose? Or your cheek structure? And then you have these kids who are going to want plastic surgery. So I could get my rating number up if I get a nose job or if I get fillers. It's frightening. So there's tons of apps you could look up, and they're either Am I Pretty? I think some of them are Beauty Scanner. There's a whole list of them when you search them, and I don't want to necessarily write, there's an attractiveness test. How attractive am I? Their AI examines your facial features. Nickel apparently has Am I Pretty? Use AI to find out. Just upload a picture of your face. By the way, don't let your teenage daughter or your young daughter be uploading pictures of themselves to some random site. I mean, who knows what predator is going to be looking at them or using them. AI face swap, an AI attractiveness test, free AI face rater. It'll instantly analyze your face and you will receive personalized ratings. There's a pretty scale that Airbrush offers. Look, as a girl, now growing up, yes, I would be envious of the girls who were pretty. Boy, everything seemed to just fall perfectly in alignment for them. So when they were pretty, they never dropped their books. They never seemed to have a period cramp. They always seemed to have a date for the dance. The teacher never yelled at them. And girls like me are like, how do we even compete? And then when family members would say, oh, you're pretty, you're like, yeah, you're just saying that because you don't want me, feeling bad. I don't believe you. And then when a guy would say you're pretty, you're like, is he just doing it because he wants to get me into bed, or does he really mean it? And so, one thing I've learned, especially with makeup and filters and photos, is we're all beautiful in our own way. And I've seen some people where they looked ugly one day and then they looked exquisite another. Having worked with a lot of people in the media and show business, many people look nothing like they do on camera. Why? Because the makeup artists and the filters and it's amazing what they could do. Not to mention CGI. And so any one of us could become attractive. So we're all pretty. But that's not what people want. And one thing that's also very, very scary is how we are surrendering to AI as the barometer of knowledge, as the ideal brain of society. And people will ask AI what they think for medicine, for answer. I can't tell you how many times I have found AI to be wrong. And wrong. I am finding more and more inconsistencies with AI. I will look up an actor, or I'll look up something on TV in Hollywood, and they'll get the actor wrong. And I'm like, no, that person wasn't in the movie. Yet younger individuals look at AI as, but it's a computer. So it doesn't matter what my mom or dad says, or my brother or sister says, or my teacher says. If the AI says I'm not pretty, or I'm pretty, or I'm dumb, or I'm this, AI knows. Why are we giving so much validity to something that is still not perfected? And it's also man-made. AI is man-made. Humans inject it. So who is deciding the algorithm of what's pretty? Is it somebody in China? Is it somebody in Norway? Is it somebody in South Africa? South America? I mean, the Congo? Who is deciding what's beautiful? Where are they coming up with this in terms of forehead and eyes and nose? And really? Who's coming? I mean, and look how at the stereotypes that could happen. This could be extremely, extremely dangerous and also very discriminatory, depending on who is deciding. And the fact that this is something that kids look to, they feel the need to be attractive. The pretty privilege is something that hasn't been addressed a lot, but it's there. And everybody knows about it. If you're good looking, if you're tall and you're handsome and you're this, I mean, you get whatever you want. Yeah, and I mean, people will throw themselves at you. You'll get, I mean, even I never thought I was good looking, but I can't tell you how much free pizza and free stuff I got just because I could flirt with somebody. It's not fair to other people, and I wasn't even good looking. I just think the person just wanted to be flirted with. But the pretty privilege or somebody having any sort of attractiveness should not be at an advantage to somebody that might not have certain facial features. But having these apps exist is now validating that ridiculous thinking even more. Look at what your kids are doing and don't let them use these apps. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So the other day when President Trump held that press conference with Dr. McCary and Dr. Oz and RFK Jr. about Tylenol, he did go off about Tylenol a little bit more than I would have expected a president should. But I'm glad he did it. I might not have agreed with everything he said, but I am a fan of us finally kind of warning people about how some of the things that we have been doing may still, may have some risks. And when, I spoke to individuals about the Harvard study and I've been, talking to you guys, I've been, expressing on air when we would get studies looking at possible links to neurodevelopmental disorders. Tylenol may not be 100% safe for a pregnant woman to take. There have been links to neurodegenerative disorders, autism, ADHD, urogenital issues. I was shocked that some individuals weren't made aware. Now, many OBs told me, oh, yeah, I've been telling patients for years. But where was the guidance? Where was, the CDC guidance during the Obama years, during the Obama years, Biden years, even the first Trump administration? So then Trump, does a press conference where he tells pregnant women, just don't use Tylenol. And that was just a little bit too generalized for my taste, because if a pregnant woman is having a high fever and her OB, wants her to lower the fever, because that's something that's between her and her OB. The high fever in and of itself could cause neurodevelopmental abnormalities of the fetus. However, my thinking is, which I've always said, is if you have a pregnant woman that's at home having a high fever, she needs to get seen right away. She should not be going to a pharmacy and taking Tylenol. She should be having that high fever looked at. If she's having a high fever, she needs to, does she have an infection? Does she have a UTI? Does she have a kidney infection? Does she have pneumonia? If a pregnant patient is having pain, like a headache that she wants to take Tylenol for, is that headache evaluated? Headache in pregnancy could sometimes signify preeclampsia or eclampsia or high blood pressure issues. It could be a precursor to seizures, depending on what condition they have. And so, I know we are in this day and age of patients wanting to, not always have to go to a doctor and do it yourself. Like Dr. Drew now has this urgent care at your house where, they have a booklet and you could talk to a doctor online if you want to and all that. But when it comes to, your pregnant population, which is a very vulnerable population, every case is very, very unique. And we really need to make sure that individuals are being looked at. For those of you who watched Downton Abbey and you saw what happened to one of the daughters who was pregnant, you understand that a headache could be serious. And so rather than self-treating, you should be evaluated. So my, recommendation following what Trump had said is, look, don't make, any generalized decisions. Have your medical provider decide what's safe for you. However, the concept of popping Tylenol and thinking it's 100% safe is being continually challenged in science now as they are concerned about risks. So Dr. Oz has actually kind of rolled that back, what Trump had done, suggesting that Tylenol may, need to be used by some pregnant individuals. And Dr. Oz said, if you have a high fever, the doctor's almost certainly going to prescribe you something. Tylenol might be one of the things they give you. Take it when it's appropriate. Tylenol sometimes might be your best option for fighting lower grade fevers that don't require hospitalization. But fevers in and of itself, it's been very controversial. How much, do we need to use Tylenol for? So, if you have a low grade fever, I never take Tylenol if I have a low grade fever because I want the fever to do its job. The whole reason why you're having a fever is the body's trying to raise the temperature to fight the virus, to fight the bacteria. However, a high fever could induce a seizure, a very rapidly rising fever could induce a seizure in a young child. And high fevers in a pregnant person could cause some neurodevelopmental issues. So the problem I've been seeing, and this is why this has come out, is we kind of had this issue with alcohol, where if you tell somebody something's safe and it's over the counter, they might not use the caution they're supposed to. So remember I told you that I was having some preterm labor, and the doctor, my attending, was one of these old, small town farm docs who said, I want you to go and have some wine. I go, I don't have wine in the house, and I'm pregnant. I'm not supposed to drink. He says, your choice is going to the hospital and getting steroids and all sorts of, medication, or you could do what I'm suggesting. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I tell patients to go to the hospital. We're supposed to tell patients. And I'm telling you, God forbid you're in preterm labor, you go to the hospital. But he said, go find some wine. So my husband there were some wine coolers. So I took a little bit of a wine cooler. I was scared to death, and my contractions stopped. Now, this is not anything I would ever recommend to anybody because we do not want, alcohol can hurt the fetus. But where that came from was in the olden days, we would treat preterm labor with alcohol. Now, we found that could be very, very risky. Why? Because we have fetal alcohol syndrome, we have heart disease, we have high blood pressure, we have sugar abnormalities. And we found that the risks of using alcohol in pregnancy far outweighed any benefits. But also, it's because people took it to a level that they shouldn't have. So my quarter of a wine cooler was all I had the whole pregnancy. Yet some individuals could inappropriately be treating cramps or something that might be misconstrued as something that is more serious, like an infection or preterm labor, and hurt themselves. And so in medicine, we have to ensure that the advice we're giving people is one, scientifically sound, and two, able to be followed by anybody. But if we say, oh yeah, that's okay, you could smoke during pregnancy, one cigarette won't hurt, you're never going to see that. Nobody is ever going to say you could smoke during pregnancy because we think there's no benefit whatsoever and it's all risk. Now, somebody could say, but Dr. Daliah, all our parents smoked during pregnancy and we all came out fine. We're not going to make that recommendation. And so when it comes to Tylenol, now that we are seeing associated risks, here's Trump and here's now HHS and here's doctors saying, okay, guys, we need to rethink this. Do I really believe Tylenol is the root of all our autism statistics? Absolutely not. But can it play a role? Could we be possibly doing harm? Absolutely. And in medicine, we're supposed to do no harm. And so for years, I've been starting to see the advice slowly start to change as it pertains to Tylenol. But now that many individuals don't see a medical provider, many pregnant women don't see a medical provider until they're deeper into their pregnancy, we need to start providing some sort of guidance. Because one of the number one questions I get asked on telemedicine by pregnant women is, I don't have a doctor yet. What medicine can I take? And I'm like, how do you not have a doctor? You're in your second trimester. Well, I go, who's been your OB? So how it used to be is you wouldn't get your birth control, until you went in and had an exam. So you would have a doctor, or your gynecologist would be seeing you, so that when you did finally become pregnant, well, you already had a medical provider set up. You would call them up and they would say, okay. Although that changed with the malpractice crisis, where doctors, OBs, had to limit the number of pregnant patients they took care of, because over a certain threshold, their rates would go up. But before that happened, it was pretty simple. Whoever your gynecologist was, an OB, was going to then be, the one that would take over when you were pregnant. So you call them up and now you're pregnant, or your family doctor, etc. Well, now the average person doesn't have a medical provider. So they become pregnant and they're trying to find a brand new doctor. And in the meantime, they're figuring out what they can do for headaches or fevers. So there has to be some better guidance. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regenerations. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, Fine Farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So a lot of the things I read online and some of your emails are pretty pessimistic. I think many people have a really dismal look on where we're going in society, where we're going in terms of a country and going into a civil war, humanity, humans not having any qualms about killing other humans, the disgusting pedophiles and sex traffickers and anti-Semites and racists, and we don't seem to be getting better and more tolerant and more human. We're really becoming more and more disgusting, and I really worry. And I don't want to be pessimistic, but Vladimir Zelensky had, schooled the world on where we're going with warfare, and he brought up some scary stuff. And he has warned that these AI drones are going to soon kill without human command, being reported by United24media.com. He has predicted that armed drones equipped with artificial intelligence could soon operate without human involvement, attacking pre-designated targets independently. Now, yesterday, when he spoke at the United Nations, he brought this up. He highlighted that tens of thousands of people worldwide are already trained to use drones in combat. And what's frightening about drones is that once they're deployed, they might be more difficult to stop. He said earlier, only the strongest countries could afford to use drones because they were expensive and complex. Now even simple drones can fly thousands of kilometers. Military technology no longer cares about geography. It transforms it. The Ukrainian president, according to the site, also drew attention to recent international developments, noting that North Korea had announced the testing of a tactical strike drone just last week. He said this, he argued, demonstrates that even states with limited resources are capable of producing weapons that pose risks to neighboring countries. Such systems could eventually be accessible to non-state actors, including terrorist groups or criminal cartels. Now, this is not shocking. We've been talking about this sort of technology for a while, where our future wars are not going to be humans and boots on the ground. It's going to be technology, and it's going to be drones, where drones will go in with bombs and then annihilate areas, and if they get destroyed, no casualties, because it's tech. And so going into areas that is too expensive and difficult for humans to go into would be the, for a bad actor or for a terrorist group or for a country that wants to invade another country would be the preferred choice, sadly. And so Zelensky warned that technological advances in unmanned systems are outpacing the global community's ability to regulate or counter them. He says the world is moving too slowly to defend itself, and weapons are moving fast. He said now companies are already working on drones that could shoot down other drones, and it is only a matter of time, a small amount of time, before drones start fighting drones, attacking critical infrastructure and targeting people fully autonomously without human involvement, except for a few who control the AI systems. Now, the Wall Street Journal reported that Ukraine became the first country to deploy AI-guided drone swarms in active combat. So we know Ukraine has been using them. Huge shift now in modern warfare. And they say using software developed by local firm Swarmer, Ukrainian drones can autonomously coordinate, identify targets, and strike with minimal human input. And so, I mean, he knows because, Ukraine has been using this technology. And I'm very concerned because what has been holding us back temporarily is we've had an anti-war sentiment. Now, countries get together, they say we don't want war. We don't want to see people, killed. We don't want. Yet then, these things happen, like with Russia invading Ukraine or Hamas invading Israel, and you see terrorist acts, you see rapes and murders and killings and hostages taken. And then you kind of have people have this kind of lackadaisical attitude towards it. And then you also have individuals blame the victims. When people blamed Israel for being attacked on October 3rd, 2023, you're like, what the heck are you guys thinking? And so it's very easy to see, humans turn on themselves. And another big concern I have is, I've been watching, some of these, like the Sphere had this postcard from, I forgot what the Las Vegas Sphere. The Las Vegas Sphere is very cool, but the show it had was very kind of anti-population. And the moral of it was let America destroy itself so we could repopulate a new planet and start over. And I keep picking up on this anti-human, anti-population sentiment. And sadly, it's growing. And I guess there's a campaign called Extinctionism or something. There's a growing movement where people feel that we would have fewer issues as it pertains to the climate, as it pertains to food, as it pertains to jobs, etc., if we limit our population. So what worries me is if that sort of thinking is being entertained and embraced, then why would they stop a technology that could unfortunately kill humans? I mean, look at the behavior we saw with people and the COVID masks and people, calling the cops on each other and turning people in. And what the heck is going on? So I think people can turn on each other very easily. Not to mention you have this jerk, Joshua John, shooting indiscriminately at ICE facility acting like, he's this cool sniper and hoping that, fantasizing about ICE fearing him. This sort of technology, these drones is technology that, is getting easier and easier to access. And people are able to now technologically, manipulate them, make them do things they want to. And so my worry is we very, very easily could have, like I said, these bad actors or these terrorist groups or cartel or just people with mental illness decide to use that technology for their own benefit and hurt others. So what do? We could complain about it. We've been predicting this for years, that we could be destroying ourselves very easily, allowing the tech to hit the levels that it's been, in terms of our technological advances. But what are we going to do about it? Are we going to stop science? Are we going to say, you know what, we're not going to, in America, move forward with this? Meanwhile, other countries are. We will destroy each other. Humans will become extinct one day. I don't want it to happen. But we're not getting smarter. We are figuring out ways to kill ourselves, and we are not progressing. We're almost regressing in terms of being humanistic and wanting to protect and preserve human life. The fact that you see this political violence, the fact that you see people justifying violence just because they hate, individuals for their religious beliefs, it's frightening. And this is where we are. 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
For tuning in, 1-877 Doc Daliah, 1-877 Docdali. So while we're getting ready for flu season, we still have COVID in the mix, and COVID is still a pain in the butt. Thank God it's not killing as many people as it once did, but it is still a pain. And I guess there's a new variant I want to tell you all about. It's called the XFG variant, known as Strauss. It has been gaining momentum. It was detected in Southeast Asia in January, and the World Health Organization has designated Strauss another variant under monitoring. It's spread to 38 countries by June, and it has been on the rise in multiple states, including New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Vermont, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North and South Dakota, according to the CDC. And the CDC is able to evaluate, where it's hitting and because it'll look at our wastewater. And so it's been the predominant variant now as of 2 weeks ago. And I guess it follows the Nimbus strain, which is highly infectious. And these people having razor blade sore throat symptoms where their throat feels like they're swallowing razor blades. That was similar to the Nimbus COVID strain. The Stratus variant is similar. Could also cause a cough, could also cause brain fog. And so, I understand many people, as soon as they hear COVID, they go, I don't want to hear about it anymore. Let's just blow it off. Let's just kind of deal with it. Here's my thing, though. When I got COVID, I couldn't stand the way I felt. I hated getting COVID. And it took forever to go away. With flu, we have Xofluza, we have Tamiflu. If you take that early on, within 48 hours, you could limit your flu symptoms. With COVID, we do have an antiviral. We have Paxlovid. We also have Molnupiravir, but most people are prescribing Paxlovid. And we are finding that is limiting the duration of the illness. And so, for me, I think it's important to test and know what you have. I know people are sick of it. They're like, we're making a bigger deal about COVID than it is. But I got to tell you, when you get it and it lasts for months, not cool. If you could figure out that you have it early on and take care of it and knock it out, or at least treat it and minimize your symptoms, I think that's a huge benefit. Now, the problem we're having is now that telemedicine is so ubiquitous, patients are feeling flu-like. They're not even wanting to think about COVID, so they call up going, I think I have the flu. There was a coworker who told me he had the flu, so I have the flu. Was that coworker tested? Oh, I don't know. He just said he had the flu. So give me flu medicine. Well, a few years back, we were running very short on flu medication, anti-flu, antivirals like Tamiflu, because we were administering it so generously and liberally online that by the time November hit, when flu season officially started, pharmacies were low. And I remember, and I was looking back at patients online, looking at how doctors were giving them flu medication in August and September. And these patients were not confirmed. Now, besides the risk of being treated, and running low with antivirals when you don't have flu, is if you're taking a 5-day course of a flu medication, or you're taking the 1-day dose, and you're noticing by day 5 or 6 that the flu didn't go away, if you then go, well, maybe this is COVID the whole time, you might be too late and out of the window to get treated. So one common occurrence I've been seeing the last few years are people being misdiagnosed as flu, not getting better, finally going in to get seen and tested, only to be told it's too late. We can't treat you for COVID now. You're out of the window. Now, people ask, well, what's the difference between COVID and flu? How can I tell? Now, what if the at-home tests say I'm negative for COVID? That means it must be flu. Well, not entirely. If these at-home COVID tests were designed for, some of the previous strains, then they could miss the current newer strains. So just because you're negative for COVID at home doesn't mean you're in the clear. And usually with COVID, with flu, the fevers are usually higher over 102.5. Sometimes you could have a lower grade fever, depending on, your body type, but usually fever, it hits you really quickly. You feel like a ton of bricks, body aches, cough, a multitude of symptoms, high fever that come on pretty quickly. Whereas COVID, they morph. You might start off with a sore throat. Then you might get the headache. Then you might get the cough. You might have a low-grade fever or a fever that waxes and wanes. But some people with COVID do get high fevers, just like some people with flu get lower fevers. So you can't always tell. But usually flu hits you hard and fast. COVID will hit you, but then morph and wax and wane or slowly get worse. But that's not for everybody. So my recommendation is if you are sick, find out what you have and then get the right treatment. They say this new strain, the Stratus strain, has fatigue, fever, and a persistent dry cough. Some people may also have shortness of breath, chest tightness, sore, scratchy throat, headaches, body aches, upset stomach, nausea, loss of appetite, brain fog, trouble concentrating, loss of taste or smell. We're seeing fewer loss of taste and smell symptoms. Some people do still have that. But I can't tell you how many patients go, oh, I don't have COVID because I can still smell. I go, that was kind of a more common symptom 5 years ago. We're not really seeing a lot of people struggle with that because it's a different strain. Now, people say, look, why can't I just let COVID run its course? So, we doctors, again, we don't want you to get the complications. So we always recommend having a medical provider evaluate you, checking your oxygen level, making sure you're not getting a secondary infection or pneumonia, making sure you're not going into respiratory distress. So the reason why you're not going to see a lot of doctors say just sit home and do whatever is because we just don't know how serious your COVID is. I couldn't stand that when I heard during the original outbreak that people were told to not go in and get seen, just stay at home, it'll go away. Meanwhile, people were on death's door, finally went into the hospital, and by then the hospital's like, it's too late. We can't do anything for you. You're already in cytokine storm. I don't like the idea of you just sitting home and treating yourself. I don't like that. I'd rather somebody evaluate you and know for sure. I really think everybody should get at-home pulse oximeters to check your oxygen, blood pressure monitors. I think nebulizer machines to be able to give yourself breathing treatments. I think there's a lot of things that we need to later advocate for so you'll have your own little home hospital in a way so you could examine yourself and you could tell the telemedicine doctor, some of your metrics. But another issue I'm noticing is some people's blood pressure cuff is wrong or some people's pulse oximeter is wrong. And so one thing we notice is people of color or who might have more pigment in their skin may not get as accurate a reading with the pulse oximeter. Now, that's something we doctors have known, but a lot of other individuals might not. So they might think, oh, you know what? I'm 96, 95, 96% blood oxygen level. I'm good. Yet they might actually be 93 or 94. Now, usually, if you're dropping closer to 94%, we want to see you. We used to hospitalize you because you were really starting to, drop with your oxygen. And now we're a little bit more lax. But, to me, if your oxygen is under 96% and you're feeling symptoms, you really should get seen in person or get at least an evaluation. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away. Guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.